when I bought a PSVR 2, the sole reason I bought it was so I could play Horizon Call of the Mountain. Now, I've been a fan of the Horizon series for almost 2 years now. And like when I heard that Horizon Call of the Mountain was releasing last year, I was blown away. Like I was like, heck yes. I wanted to get back into VR. I wanted to get back into, I was like, finally we're getting some good games out of VR. Now, when I was first looking at getting a replacement headset for my Oculus Quest, I was like, do I want to get the Quest 3 or do I want to get the PSVR 2 since I have a PS5 now? And so I ended up going with the Quest 3 because I also wanted to play Assassin's Creed Nexus VR. And there's also some other games on Quest as well. And I had my whole library of Quest games. So later on, I decided I wanted to get a PSVR 2 so I could play Horizon Call of the Mountain. And I did. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So first things first. Obviously, I do have a video about PSVR 2 comparing that to the Meta Quest 3. And you can see that in the card there. One thing I wanted to mention is I had a big problem with I don't think the eyes were synced together, because while the game looked spectacular, as soon as you started moving like that at all, in any sense, it started getting blurred, and like as if the eyes weren't moving at the same speed or something like that. Maybe like one eye was moving just a little bit ahead or something like that. I don't know. Like they would kind of overlap, and then you wouldn't get a clear picture until you stopped, and then you looked at something, and then it was clear. But then as soon as you started moving it again, yeah. I don't know what was up with that. I don't know. Maybe it was my copy or something like that. Maybe just uninstalling and reinstalling the game might have helped. But it wasn't something with the PSVR 2. I can say that. That's why I never mentioned it in that video. It's because I had a couple other games that I did try on the PSVR 2, and none of those had that problem. So that is an unfortunate thing. I was still able to play it decently well. As for comfort in that, because that did cause some motion sickness, not having everything synced up, and so things being a little blurry, that caused a little bit of motion sickness. So I did end up using the snap turn, because the free turn was kind of making me motion sick. And also, like, I was kind of frustrated with the fact that there was no running. It's kind of a nitpick, because like in Assassin's Creed Nexus, I got used to being like I could free turn, and then I could just bolt somewhere. I could just run, and I kept wanting to do that, but it can't. So it's a bit of a nitpick, but it's just kind of an observation, I guess, or if anything else. A big part of the game is climbing. It's kind of like the climb in Horizon. So you're basically just a lot of the navigation is just kind of just climbing up stuff and just climbing around stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of feels VR gimmicky, if you know what I mean. A lot of VR games sometimes have gimmicky gameplay, or more arcadey, I guess is maybe a better term, arcadey gameplay. They don't feel the same as you'd have like a flat screen game, where you'd have like certain mechanics and whatnot. It did have like just the hands as well. There's no full body, and again, it's kind of a little bit of nitpicks. I've had some more experience with other games where they have full body, and so to me, it feels like a step back to have just the hands again. So, and this only came out 2023, so this is not like an older game or anything like that. So, it's a bit of a nitpick, a little bit of a not really happy with that, but does it really matter? Not entirely. I mean, I think there's some things they could have done with a full body, because they have different tools and whatnot. And I think, like you have with Assassin's Creed Nexus, where you have different tools on different body parts, right? You've got like your knives here. You've got your sword down here. You've got your smoke bombs down here. Like, you've got like different things all over the place, and of course you grab behind your back for your bow. So like you access your inventory that way, because I mean that's kind of what you would expect. Versus when you're in Horizon Call of the Mountain, you open up your inventory by pressing one of your buttons, and then you like scroll around to find your thing. Now, one thing I did find out, kind of embarrassingly late in the gameplay, was that in certain situations you can just grab something from behind your back and it'll pull out the tool you need. So, for instance, when you're climbing, sometimes you'll have like you'll be climbing rocks with your hands, and then you come up with like a smoother surface, and then you got to switch to your climbing picks. Well, what I was doing was I would open up my right hand, and then I'd pull that out of the inventory, then I'd stick that on there, and then I'd pull my left one out and stick that one, and then I would climb like that. And so then like that's so, but I realized later on that when you're climbing, you could climb and then you can just pull it from your back and then like that, and you just it was kind of embarrassingly late. I also found out really late in the gameplay too as well, that because I kept picking up stuff for like fire arrows and electric arrows or shock arrows and stuff, and I was like, I really want to use these arrows. How do I use these arrows? I looked up a YouTube video and I'm like, oh my gosh, like when you pull it out, you rotate it like that, and then just a row of arrows, and then you can just pick whatever arrow you want. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this. I think I probably missed something. That's probably my fault, to be honest. It probably is. Actually, I did notice, because right after I found that out, they introduced a slingshot, and they did tell you about it in the slingshot. So they might have told you about it with the bow. I just wasn't paying attention, apparently. Or maybe they just didn't tell me. And so I don't know. That was kind of, I don't know. Maybe that was my fault. I don't know. But there are some other tools and whatnot that you can use, and sometimes you pull them out for your inventory. One thing I'm not a huge fan about, it doesn't use the grab button, it uses the trigger. So when you put your arm behind your back, you have to use the trigger to pull the thing out, which is weird. Don't get it. I don't know, that is a little of a weird thing. A lot of times you grab using the trigger and not the grab button, which is kind of peculiar to me. But putting the item behind your back again, and then pressing trigger again, or letting go, depending on whether or not you're holding it. I think, yeah, if the bow is the only thing that you can just let go and you keep holding it. But yeah, you can't put it back into your inventory, so you just throw it on the ground and then you just keep moving. And it's a little bit of an immersion breaking thing. I kind of wish that they had it so you were pulling things out and then putting them back when you were done with them. But you just throw it on the ground. Like whenever I was done with the picks, I would just leave them, and then whenever I needed picks again, I'd just select them again. So obviously the graphics on this game are phenomenal. Obviously this comes from a PS5. You are actually getting. It looks a lot like, it does look a lot like the Horizon series. It does look really good, like it's from Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, and like there are some points where it's like, where I was just kind of standing out there and I was like looking at the vast mountain landscape, and I saw the mountains and I was like, that is totally a flat painting. Granted, of course, it's not actually painted, but like you get what I mean. It's just a flat image. I could see where the mountains were, and then you could see what the flat image behind the mountains, and it was like, that kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. It's only when you're kind of paying attention. I mean, let's just be honest here. In VR games, they're not going to have the best and most amazingest graphics out there. It's just not there yet. So, you just you got to forgive the graphics for what they are. They're good anyways. Like, it's some of the best graphics I have seen in any VR game ever. So there is that, absolutely. And also another thing about it, of course, with it being a Horizon game, the protagonist talks constantly. Like, if you guys have played the Horizon series, you know, Aloy just doesn't shut up. Now, personally, like when I'm playing those games, I'm fine with that. I've usually been fine with that. When playing those games, I never actually had a problem with that. Here, with it being me, like technically, like that was like it's technically me. It was kind of annoying having him like constant. I'm like, dude, like, come on. Let me just do my thing. You don't need to be constantly saying the next thing or you know, pointing out whatever thing is coming up next.
Wait. Just look at that view. The summit. What is Orin? They must have seen something from up here. Smoke. It's coming from Talonreach. Are you sending a signal, Orin? There's gotta be something here.
The combat was great though, fantastic. It's still a bit arcadey. Like it's arena battles with a usually just one. Sometimes they throw in a few machines, but usually just one machine. And you'll be essentially you're stuck on the outer ring, and you can move. So basically you can move left or right, and it just moves you around. And it just moves you around in a circle. Or you can do a little dash thing, and you can just dash a bit. And so you can move faster if you just hit the dash thing again and again and again. So that, again, a bit on the arcadey side. I kind of wish, now I played a little bit of Asgard's Wrath 2. This was to kind of test out to see if that was going to be a game that I wanted to play at all. And like in like the opening sequence, they put you in a boss battle with this giant monster, and you're free reign. And I'm like, that's kind of what I wish I had. I also kind of wish I had a melee weapon. Didn't get that. That's unfortunate, but I kind of wish there was also maybe some upgrades to the bow, because like, especially in the later battles, because like towards the end, I would be like just rapid fired shooting at the machines, because like what else are you gonna do, right? You know, and like you can use some of the different arrows, and they kind of do more damage and whatnot, but like your base arrow is going to be the one that's going to be the most useful, because you get unlimited of that, whereas you have a very limited resources with the other ones, and you don't really want to run all the way out of all your arrows, so because then you got future boss battles, right? So there's that, and then also for healing, you just like they'll provide apples and whatnot. So I kind of found that out pretty quickly, because I just would take an apple and I'd just start eating it. And then at one point I was low on health, and then I ate the apple, and I was like, oh, that's what heals you. Okay, cool. I figured that one out pretty quickly. And they'll sometimes give you some other arrows and whatnot. So that is pretty. Yeah, I mean it's still fun. I mean it's still cool. It's still fun to go and fight a Thunderjaw. That was pretty epic. There was one Thunderjaw one where I failed that one probably about 4 times. Actually, it was the only one that I failed. Actually, was the Thunderjaw. Actually, pretty tough fight, if I had to say so myself. And there is, again, like I said before, there are 2 different types of weapons. There's the slingshot, and then there's the bow. The slingshot kind of gives you, it's a fire bomb and an ice bomb, and one obviously freezes the machine. The other one kind of like does a little explosion. For some of the smaller machines, the fire bombs like just kind of wrecks them. Obviously, it doesn't do quite the amount of damage, and it being a slingshot, you just want to. It's not quite the best things to use, but they were definitely effective in helping me fight some of these machines. And of course, bow is the primary thing that I was using. And of course, and one of the ways they have you do progression throughout this game is by getting additional tools. So you'd get like just a bunch of different tools that you could use, and it'd be for climbing around, because it's kind of like the climb, basically. So the story is, it's nothing special. It's not really like this fantastic. It doesn't really give you much. You know, you're Shadow Karja who wants to save his brother. And that's pretty much the gist of it. And then you end up finding this Oseram gal who is wanting to pay back the Karja for the things they did with the previous Sun King, and that's kind of the gist of the story, basically. And one thing that kind of annoyed me was the fact that like you would be playing through like a mission, you'd be climbing on, doing all your stuff, and then you get to the end, and then there's like no way to progress, and then it's just like, okay, we're just gonna fast travel back to the main hub camp, and then you'd fast travel back to the point you were going. It's like, and like at one point you're chasing your brother, and then you're like, oh man, I can't get past here. I'm just gonna go back all the way back to camp, go and do some other stuff, and then I'm gonna continue following him. And it's like, really? I mean, it makes sense when you're fast traveling, but like in universe, you're not fast traveling. So I don't know. But so would I say that you should buy Horizon Call of the Mountain? Well, a few different categories I would say here. First of all, if you're a fan of the Horizon, if you're not a fan of the Horizon series, probably play Zero Dawn or Forbidden West first. I'd probably do that. That's a good place to get introduced into the story. If you are a fan of Horizon, then you can kind of fall into a couple different categories. If you already own a PSVR 2, I think this is definitely something you should pick up. If you're thinking about, hey, I've got a PSVR 2, should I pay? Maybe get it on a discount. I'm not sure. It's only about 6 hours long. I'm not sure it's worth like the full $60, but maybe you should try getting it at like $40. I think it'd be much better of a deal then. $40 or $30. Wait till it goes on sale for that. Or if you've got, it's not on PlayStation Plus at all. So if it goes on to PlayStation Plus, then it's like, hey, absolutely, pick it up, no problem. If you do not have a PSVR 2, I wouldn't buy it just for that. I would not buy a PSVR 2 just for Call of the Mountain. It's a fun game. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm definitely glad I played it, but I don't think I would spend the $500 for the PSVR 2 plus the $60 for the game itself. Or I guess there's a bundle with the game and the PSVR 2. You could just buy the whole thing. That's like probably going to be close to $600. I don't know if I would go all that way, but if you already have a PSVR 2, I think it's definitely, you should pick it up. Just maybe on a discount. That's it. So it definitely was an enjoyable game. I had fun with it. As a Horizon fan, I definitely enjoyed it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see more, then go ahead and click the subscribe button, or you can click right here for my PSVR 2 versus MetaQuest 3 video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.